What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's Act 5 preparation video. So yesterday evening it was announced that Act 5, the wait is finally over, and it's going to be coming next Tuesday on March 28th at 10 AM PDT. So this is like an hour earlier for most people in kind of European, I think it's like everywhere it's an hour earlier than it usually is. So here in the UK it's 5 PM, but time zones, I'm not particularly good at them. But however, next Tuesday, 5 PM UK time, we're going to be live streaming kind of an initial clear of Act 5, and then the hope is that by the end of the week, hopefully, we're good enough at playing the game that we can do it with 3 stars, and that'll make a pretty cool challenge video series. So hopefully we can get that done as well, but initially we're going to be doing it live. From what I've seen of the difficulty so far, because a little bit of it is leaked in the 12.0 update video, and we'll talk about that. It seems like it's going to be a little bit harder than Master Mode, because it's only the first of 4 chapters. And the rest are going to come out over the next like few months as well. So yeah, this is only like one of 4 chapters. So this is going to be the easiest chapter by far. Well, hopefully anyway, it's still going to be relatively easy, but a bit of a challenge here and there. But anyway, let's talk about Act 5 and what you need to know. So in this video, we're basically going to cover kind of all of the new nodes and stuff and how to prepare for those, and some speculation on some really good ways to deal with them. And we're also going to go over the bosses and PI, and then we're going to talk about the rewards. So this is basically like a packaged up everything you need to know, all the information out there about Act 5 already. So anyway, let's get talking about it, because there are 5 new nodes that are being introduced with Act 5, and they all have some very interesting stuff, and I think there are some cool tactics you can use for each one of them. So the first node is a node called Flare. So this one gives you a 300% attack boost, so triples your attack. But as a result of that, you suffer degeneration equal to 100% of your max health over 60 seconds. So if you don't have a regen champion, you're dead within a minute if you can't finish the fight. However, this is actually increased by 150% if you have a class disadvantage. But if you have a class advantage, it's going to be reduced by 50%. So it's only going to deal 50% of your max health over the same 60 seconds. So I think for this node in particular, they do a little comment on each node and kind of how people have overcome it in testing, because this was one of the big criticisms. This node was a little bit of a question mark when they initially announced it, but they said apparently most players with 440 champions can finish this fight. The fights that have this node very, very quickly, it wasn't too much of a problem. But I'm interested to see, it looks like the 2 ways to counter Flare are Rogue, just spamming the special one. It seems like that's going to heal for an insane amount, but I'm not 100% sure on that synergy. But it seems like Rogue special one is affected by every other attack buff in the game, so that should heal her. For a 550 Rogue, it's going to be 3k non-crit and 9,000 on its crit. So that might be a pretty ridiculous way to counter the Flare node if it is ever on a really tricky fight. But it looks like you're just going to have to use a champion that has the class advantage, and you're going to be able to deal with the Flare node quite easily there. But this one is to encourage really, really aggressive gameplay. So in that scenario, champions with stun also might be very good. I feel like champions of stun are actually going to be really sick for this chapter. We'll talk about it for a few other nodes as well. But I think like Hulk and Storm in particular, I think are going to be 2 very, very good champions. Because, you know, after a few combo rounds, you can almost get your opponent into stun lock if you're lucky. So I think Hulk, he has some really, really sick potential, especially on the Flare node, because that's just going to increase his damage by a load as well. So interested to try out Hulk in Chapter 5, sorry. It's Act 5, Chapter 1, that's it. Okay, so the next one is a node called Breakthrough. So this one, champion the boss, I think this is only going to be active on boss fights. So they've changed this one around a little bit from what it used to be. So the boss starts off with 5,000 armor rating, and every hit you land removes 200 from this. So it's similar to, I believe, like if you've done Alliance Quest, if you've taken a Path of the Tech Symbiote, that starts with like 7 stacks of armor up. It's pretty much like 25 stacks of that on any boss. However, a really interesting synergy that I'm thinking about for this one is Dr. Voodoo. Dr. Voodoo, or maybe magic in some scenarios. Like, is there, for Dr. Voodoo, for example, like, if I hit him twice, right, and it takes off 2 stacks, is that gonna count as a buff and allow me to get, like, if I got 5 out of 5 Mystic Dispersion, will I pretty much be on 1 bar of power after hitting him twice? And then can I fire off the special one, and then, get, like, 23 stacks, 22 stacks of poison? Like, I'm not too sure if that one's gonna work. I really hope it does, though. That'll be a really fun way to deal with all the bosses. That seems maybe a little bit too overpowered if, in the first kind of, like, round of combo, we can get off, well, yeah, like a 21 stack of poison on the boss, somewhere between 21 and 23 stacks, but I'm interested to try out that synergy. That is one of the big question marks I have there about Breakthrough. Also, does Nullify speed this up a little bit? But obviously, well, not obviously, but the design behind Breakthrough is they want to encourage fights where you can stay alive for a very long time, and instead of just kind of like reviving up and attacking again, they really want to reward people that can evade specials, they can play well. But yeah, interested to see how that works in actuality. Like, I don't know about this one. We're gonna have to see. So the next one, Life Transfer. Life Transfer might be my favorite node. It seems really interesting. I really enjoy this. I really enjoy the idea of this mechanic. So you degenerate 2% of your maximum health per second. So over a minute, that'd be 120% of your maximum health. And you steal 125% of the damage you dealer's health. So again, really rewards that aggressive gameplay. If you've got a character like Hulk or Storm, and you can just deal a crazy amount of damage, get that stun lock off, it doesn't look like it's going to be a problem in a lot of scenarios dealing with this. But yeah, they used the example Life Transfer here. Apparently somebody was just about to die, they baited a special, dodged it, and then retaliated with a special 2 on Storm, and that healed her to full health. So yeah, it's a really big heal there. 125% of the damage you deal as health return is very good. So I think Life Transfer, out of all of the nodes, those are the fights I'm looking forward to the most, because they seem really interesting. I don't think Life Transfer is too much BS, but again, I haven't done the fights yet. I haven't seen how it is, but it seems interesting. I'm very intrigued to find out a little bit more about that. The next one, Burden of Might and Power Focus. So basically, every time you gain a buff, you lose 25% of your max power, and you also get reduced power gain for every buff that you have active. So basically, this just really punishes any champions that have buffs by completely gimping their power gain, and is trying to encourage you to use any characters that don't have buffs. I think this is a really weird node. I don't really get why this node is in place. It just doesn't really seem like anything that's particularly fun or interactive. It's just like, use champions that don't have buffs. That's pretty much this node here, pretty much. And also you gain increased critical hit rate equivalent to the percentage of max power you currently have. So again, rewards champions that don't have buffs a little bit more. But I don't know, I don't find, this just doesn't seem very fun or exciting. It just seems a little bit of a pointless node to me. But yeah, like, it doesn't seem like it's going to be hard to deal with at all. Might be, so would it be annoying in certain, I don't know, we're going to have to see. Maybe it might be annoying on certain fights if you need to, like, control the opponent with a certain special attack. Like, for example, Magic's special 2 power lock. I guess Magic doesn't have any buffs on her, so she should be fine. But however, does that trigger on dexterity as well? Like, that might be pretty bad if it does. You might have to drop it for that fight. Yeah, I really don't like this. It doesn't seem very fun or interactive, but yeah, it doesn't seem like equally very punishing either. So it seems all right. We'll see how those nodes actually turn out in practicality. And the final one is Brute Force and Kinetic Instigator. So these 2 nodes go together. So basically, if you have not landed a hit in 6 seconds, you start to suffer a degeneration. And if you land a single hit on an opponent, it will reset the timer and remove any degeneration effect. So I think this one is pretty interesting. Again, it's to encourage a very, very aggressive style of gameplay, and I think champions that can stun are going to be so good for dealing with a lot of the brute force nodes. So I think, again, your Storm, your Hulk is going to be really, really good for this, because you can hopefully just keep on chaining the stuns, maybe Ronan, maybe a little bit of Gambit as well. Just, I think, like, any characters are stun for this line of aggressive gameplay that they're pushing. You know, if you can't initially get that off, any character that can help stun and just chain on your combos, I think is going to be very, very valuable come Act 5. But we're going to have to see, you know, just an initial bit of theory crafting there. And the second thing that this node has is Kinetic Instigator. So whenever you strike a blocking opponent, you gain the same power as you normally would when hitting an opponent. So the scenario that they've used here is that basically, if you can't land a hit for whatever reason, you can just keep on hitting a blocked opponent, get to your third special, and then fire that off. And then, yeah, you're gonna reset the timer on the degen there. So, I don't know about that one. We're gonna have to find out. Brute Force, it seems interesting. I'm interested to see how it's used in some of these fights. Now, let's have a look at some of the potential bosses. So, this is from the 12.0 update video. So, we'll talk about the bosses and then the PI. So, in the first quest, you have Kang. Kang's quite a good boss to fight. I always like fighting a good Kang. Just got to evade that special one. Is probably the easiest way to deal with it. Then you have a Moon Knight. Moon Knight can be a little bit annoying sometimes with his evade and his special one. You can't connect after that as far as I'm aware. So yeah, Moon Knight's a little bit tricky there, but if you can get him to the special too, that's pretty easy to bait and avoid. So Moon Knight isn't a huge problem. That occasional evade though might slip you up, might get you a couple of times at certain times during the month. And then Chapter 3, guys, this is the quest 3 is where it starts to get a little bit dangerous, because there's an Iron Patriot, guys. So you need to play really, really well against the Iron Patriot. You need to get down in a single try, man. That regen, I imagine, as the final boss is going to be pretty stacked. So having a character that can either quickly nullify the regen or reverse it, maybe like a guillotine, might be quite useful. But I'm interested to see like if any of the additional nodes that we've seen throughout the Act 5 posts are going to be used on any of the boss fights. And then next up we have a Venom. So Venom, I just like Venom. He's a really, really fun boss to fight, so I'm really looking forward to that Venom encounter. Hopefully it's one that you have to play quite aggressively in, because he's a very aggressive AI, so it might be a very fast-paced fight there. Looking forward to that one. Chapter 5, or Quest 5 should I say, looks like the most scary. I don't know if this, again, this could have been changed, this could have been removed, because this was released on March 1st, so it might be a different aim boss, but at the moment, it's Electro, so hopefully, I really hope there's the lifesteal node on this, actually, because it looks like with nice lifesteal, you know, if you're playing quite well, you can net a lot of health, so that's going to counter Electro. And a lot of the damage back he does if you have a champion that has really decent damage output. However, it's probably a good idea to, you know, just keep that Crossbones, Electro, or Black Widow ready. I think with any of those champions, you should be able to deal with Electro pretty easily anyway, especially with Black Widow and Electro. You can just stun, do a few rounds, 3 or 4 hits, and then just rinse and repeat that, so it shouldn't be too tricky. Electro is quite easy to fight if you continually bait the special one as well. And then finally, we have Archangel. So it's probably quite a good time to practice evading Archangel's special attacks and getting used to his animations over the weekend. So yeah, if anybody has an Archangel to duel, let me know in the comments below, because we do need a good duel target for that. The guy who used to do the duel list is no longer updating it. So yeah, anybody that has an Archangel as their top champion, be sure to post below and I will pin that comment, because Archangel is a character that I certainly could use a little bit of practice against. Plus he's going to be the final boss of Chapter 1. So yeah, I really do need to brush on that before the act lands. Next up, we have this is like an intro to the first chapter. We can't really see much here. The only opponent we can see on a kind of buffed up node here is War Machine, and he has just under 12,000 PI. So it looks like if that's on a buffed up node, I'm assuming it increases his stats and not reduces them. But I'm assuming the Dr. Voodoo and Howard the Duck here, I think they're just above 10,000. So again, it's going to be a little bit more difficult than the final chapter of Master Mode. A bit more of a challenge there. I think it's going to ramp up kind of average on the quest. Champions between like 10k and 20 to 25k PI, with maybe some of the bosses being like 30 to 40k, maybe even a bit higher in the first final chapter. But we'll see, very, very interesting. So a little bit more difficult than with Master Mode. I feel like if you play well, we're going to find out if you can do it with 3-star champions. It's going to be a very fun challenge there. And finally, we have the rewards. So for doing Chapter 1, 100%, you get 1,000 5-star shards, 2 tier 4 basics, 1 tier 4 class catalyst, 30 tier 4 class catalyst fragment crystals, pretty much a fully formed 4-star champion, as well as a 4-star generic awakening gem, 10 random 4-star signature stones, and 370 units across all of the chapters. But I imagine there are going to be quite a few long paths and a lot of energy refills to use. But overall, for the first chapter, the rewards, they're okay. They're pretty good for time invested, for something that doesn't look too much more difficult than Master Mode at face glance. But it might be a little bit more tricky. That I'm sure there's some hidden surprises in it somewhere. However, again, this is only for the first chapter. As we kind of progress on to chapter 2, 3, and 4 and get the overall exploration stuff, I'm sure there's going to be some more endgame resources. I'd probably speculate that there's going to be some sort of 5-star awakening gem. I think there's my speculation initially for Act 5 overall, I think for the completion, there's going to be a 5-star Awakening Gem Crystal, so you get one of the 6 random ones, and I think for full exploration, there's going to be a generic one, and a few more Tier 2 Alphas, I'd say is probably that, but we're still a few months away till we see those rewards. However, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. Very, very excited for some of these new mechanics in Act 5, and again, we're going to be live streaming next Tuesday at 5 PM UK time, so ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think of Act 5 in the comments below. Do you have any concerns? Do you have any questions? Let me know. And yeah, apart from that, take care. Use the weekend to get prepared for Act 5. Get good at the game, guys. And we shall see you next week for some Act 5 gameplay. So hope you enjoyed the video today, ladies and gentlemen. If you did, feel free to leave a like. That'd be greatly appreciated. Apart from that, take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.